Do you guys, you disagree, Ebony, with the wage? You think there is a wage gender
Yeah, there
wage
definitely
gap?
is a wage gap.
Okay, what is it? Explain it.
I forgot what the percentage was. I think women make like 73% of every dollar of a man or something. But I mean, there's studies on it. Like, women obviously make less money generally on average than men. And, you know, these studies control for people who work 40 hours a week and stuff like that. So, yeah, there definitely is a gender pay cap.
What do you mean they control for what?
Like, a lot of the points that, like, conservatives, like, people who say that there isn't, like, they like to say, oh, well, you know, women take off more maternity leave, and, like, no, like, these studies control for that. They're not comparing the income of people who are not working. They're comparing the income of people who are working 40-hour work weeks. They're comparing people who work the same amount of hours and are in the same profession, in the same field, and work the same position, and women are getting paid less.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've looked into this. So you have the uncontrolled and the controlled gender wage gap. So you're saying that the uncontrolled gender wage gap is actually the controlled gender wage gap, because the 80 cents, 78 cents, this is actually what it's doing is it's comparing all men and all women, and it's not factoring in hours worked, type of job, willingness to relocate, the danger that's associated with the job. There's like dozens of other factors that they just totally ignore. It's just like all women compared to all men. Mm-hmm. When you actually do the control, it shrinks down to 1 cent.
Yeah, and
that's
I mean,
the difference. That's the difference.
Still is a gap, right? That adds up over time.
Sure, but it could be explained. How about this? I'm trying to think of an example here. We'll come right back to it. I just need to let this chat come through because it's been here for a sec, and we'll come right back.
Wrongful Rage donated $200. Share 3. We telling you you're trash, like your daddy did when he traded your wretched joyful for a pack smokes. We all knew your worth then, we know it now. Cope harder, ghetto queen. The crystal awaits you.
Ghetto
queen. Wrongful Rage. Thank you, dude. You want to respond to the crystal thing?
What does the crystal mean? I don't use crystals.
But okay, so you again, just I guess to reiterate, you have uncontrolled, controlled wage gap. So I don't think it's really a fair representation to say that women make 78 cents on the dollar. You're saying like they're trying to put that position forward as if, oh, exact same career, exact same hours worked, then the man is going to make that much more money. That's not what it's doing, but they want to perpetuate this false narrative. Like, again, doesn't account for hours worked, the field, type of job, any specialty within the field. Like, for example, a public defender attorney is not going to make the same amount of money as like an attorney who does high-profile civil litigation or mergers and acquisitions, right? But that's what they're doing. They're not considering any of these like dozens of different factors that could contribute to somebody making more or less. Specific company, location, so they're just lumping everybody together, whether you're in San Francisco or in Idaho or Bozeman, Montana, where there's like different costs of living, there's different wages, different minimum wages, this sort of thing. Overtime, age of retirement, not factoring in at all. But if, like I said, if you control for all these factors, it shrinks to 1%. And then actually, you know, it's interesting, if you look at specific demographics, it actually, so like if you're a single and childless woman in a metropolitan area, women out-earn men. So like women between the ages of like 18 and 30, they out-earn men. Or women who never have children, out-earn men.
In suburban or rural, it doesn't happen. They're like boy band, and you could be 100 times better and they'll kick you out before you take their job.
Sure, that might be the case. I was talking about like metropolitan areas, so typically like larger towns, larger cities. Like if you look at Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, single childless women, they out-earn single childless men. Also, even putting that aside, Asian women out-earn white men. Y'all killing it. Woo. I mean, you're Asian, so I don't know how that factors in, but y'all killing it. You guys are killing it, bro. But I actually think the 1% is due to sexism. I think it's due to women's sexism.
Really?
Yeah. So here, I'll prove this. I'll prove it. You women are so sexist. You guys cause the wage gap. Now here's why. Maybe I should have asked this first. Who here wants a guy to pay for the first date? Who here would like a guy to be a provider? Who here would like to be a stay-at-home wife? And the guy just pays for everything. Yeah. There you go. There. Look at that enthusiasm. So hold on. Couldn't the 1% be explained by a mating and social pressure that women place on men that men don't place on women? So if, like, as a guy, if I can't get a date, if I can't get a relationship, if I can't get sex, if I can't get anything from a woman, if I'm not willing to do X, Y, Z when it comes to being a provider, don't you think that's a significant motivating factor? Like, do you think having a family and kids and a relationship and sex is like pretty motivating to men?
Yeah, sure.
Right. And I think it's motivating. Women want that too, just to be clear. But I don't think your finances matter at all.
As women?
Yeah, like a guy's not gonna, like, I can't go on a date and expect the girl to pay for the first date. But you guys can go on a first date going into it, like, yeah, he's probably gonna pay. Maybe I have to split, but like, he's gonna pay.
Right.
Maybe you want the man to pay.
I would say that, I mean, in today's modern age, I think women's finances do matter to a degree because most marriages are like they're splitting bills. Like in this economy, people can't really live without just off of one income.
I'll agree with you that the economic and financial reality is that, yes, most people are going to need a 2-income household. Absolutely. I agree with you. But I think there's a difference in biology and there's an evolutionary basis. Even if that's the economic and financial reality, I still don't think men really like make major assessments to their attraction towards women based off of how much money she makes or her career. Like, I think you take a high-powered male attorney and he's like, wow, there's like this really attractive woman who works at Starbucks and she's great. I don't think she's immediately going to disqualify that girl. He might even prefer her. But like, you take a high-powered female attorney who makes $200,000 a year, I don't think she's dating the male barista. He's great, he's attractive. I'm not marrying that guy. She's probably wanting to date a guy who's on her level or higher.
Right, but why do you think most men usually end up marrying women within their tax bracket or their level of education?
I think that's just the sort of reality. Most people kind of like fall into that general area.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that most like men who really make money and who live like maybe higher profile lifestyles would be interested in the girl who, I think most men want women who are like used to their lifestyle. Like, I feel like if a man is like, if he makes a lot of money, you're talking about like a millionaire or like a high income man getting with a barista. Like, I think most men would prefer a woman that's going to make them work harder and would be used to nicer things because that's the lifestyle that they're already used to.
No, get that out. Get that out. What do you mean, the lifestyle? So she's traveled a bunch?
Sure.
Like she's already traveled? No, I want, if you're a guy and you make a lot of money, right, you want to be the portal to the world. Like, oh, she's already done this before. It's just like, okay. Lame.
Maybe
what the man looks for the most is like emotional intelligence and like a woman who inspires him to be a better man. It's not like
I don't need
she
inspiration.
does.
I just do that shit on my own.
Okay, wait. I did like a little social experiment on my own.
Sure.
I was on Raya for a little bit, and I made my occupation medical assistant, and then I switched it later on to just influencer. And I felt like I noticed that there was I had, like, I don't want to say significantly, but I definitely had more matches from men after switching it to an influencer.
That is shocking.
Rather than
I thought you
a
were going to say
medical
the
assistant.
opposite.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
Yeah.
No, because I wanted to see what it was like.
Do you buy that?
I thought he
When a woman labels herself as an influencer, I very much proceed with caution.
Well, okay.
Very much. Because usually
what I'm
there's an
wondering.
OF involved, sadly.
Did you
in
change
today's
anything else on the
society.
profile, your pictures at all?
No, I kept it.
Okay.
What I thought was, I was suspecting that, like, having medical assistant would get me more matches. That's what I was thinking. So that's why I intentionally did the experiment myself.
How
and
many
then I
days
realized,
were you set to medical person or whatever?
I mean, like
but
they were both roughly.
you said medical what? What was the
medical assistant.
Medical assistant. I mean, nurses are kind of.
That's true. When, by the way, nurses are a
like,
red flag.
Men also
Medical
have like
field.
negative stereotypes towards like certain women in the healthcare field.
It's true.
Because there are certain patterns.
So that could also be playing.
That could be, but I mean, also I would wonder I don't know how thorough of it. Like you would have to test this multiple.
You have to do a
times.
double-blind placebo study.
It's not gonna be.
There could be some happenstance,
right.
If a coin, I don't know, how do I explain this? It's just
yeah, I mean, Raya could have been pushing my account more, whatever. There's a bunch of different aspects to it.
I would be curious, what if you re-downloaded the app,
right.
started as influencer
and then
switched it?
assistant.
Because I do know sometimes with these apps, it might take you a while to get into the algorithm.
Yeah.
I don't know all the details.
Right.
Honestly,
what app was it?
I think you could.
Raya.
I think you could put.
Yeah.
You could call yourself a NEET, and you'd still get a fuck ton of matches. It's not in employment, education, or training. So you're just basically living at home with your parents. That's your job title. I think you're still gonna be killing it. So it's
But you think it'd be the same amount of matches as being an influencer?
What do you mean?
If I said influencer.
If you said college student versus influencer, I feel like most guys prefer a college student.
You think
to be
so?
honest, yeah.
Influencer, when girls are on social media and they get attention on social media, it tends to be a very negative thing. I think social media has harmed women a lot more than it's affected men. Just simply because of the way that women process that attention, the way that they deal with it, and the way that it changes them as a person. I think that it's different.
Well, here, why don't we test it out like this? Do you feel like you maybe missed out on dating certain men because of your finances?
No.
No. No.
No.
No. I think the more successful I become, the pool gets smaller.
Yeah. That makes sense.
No.
I agree with what she said.
Okay. I don't know. So I guess my original point was there's just this massive social and mating pressure on men that's enforced by women, even if it's 50%. Let's say only 50% of women don't care at all. The guy could be a broke bum. They don't. I think it's more, but let's say it's just 50% of women. I think that'd be fair to say. Would, at the very least, want a guy to pay for the first date. I think it goes beyond that. I think women would, I think 50% of men would want a provider. I think 50% of women would be, if possible, maybe even, I don't know how many, would want to be stay-at-home wives and just have the man work, whatever. It occurred, whereas I don't think I or any man can go into any encounter with a woman and have this expectation, she's going to pay for the first date. I want to be the stay-at-home dad.
Mm-hmm.
If I told you guys on a first date, you're so great, I think you're beautiful. When we have kids, I want you, maybe you take a couple weeks off, but then get right back to work, and I'll stay at home and take care of the kids. I want to be the stay-at-home dad. You work for 30 years. You support me. You support the family. I'll take care of the household. I'll do the cooking. I'll do the cleaning. I'll take care of the kids. I don't think a lot of women are going to be okay with that. Right? Am I?
I wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah.
Is there a single one
If I was
that
a
would?
super rich woman, I would.
I mean,
yeah.
That's different.
I mean, I don't think that that's normal, but if he was a better parent than I was, I don't think that I would be completely against that. If my job was just sailing around all day, I think that would be really fun.
I mean, there could be an argument that's made if you're a high-earning woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally wouldn't prefer this dynamic, but I don't think high-earning women want to. Well, whatever. Maybe
I'd
you find
rather
that special guy, but
I'd rather both just both contributed rather than it feeling like one person is in charge of the finances to a point where there's some sort of friction in the relationship because of that, because that does happen a lot. Majority of the fights that married couples have are over finances or infidelity or how to raise a child. So I do think that having some sort of income as a woman, even if it's small, you're contributing, and so that does alleviate some of those arguments.
I wonder if Andrew would disagree with me saying this if he was here, but I think that it's the man's job to step up and make sure that that's not an issue. Like, I think a lot of guys say, oh, I can't control my earning potential. Like, I can't do this. Like, it's not up to me. It's fate or something. I think that's ridiculous. I think all men can work harder. All men can make more money. You just have to use your head and you have to work hard.
That's what I said when
you can control your earning
finding
potential.
a woman that makes him inspired to be a better man and want to step up. And
I think that's, do you have an issue with that? Because the truth is that men that tend to get married do tend to also make more money. And I think the motivation there is ultimately because they're driving to provide for the family.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's an issue.
Yeah, I do think there's that. I guess ultimately it's just this whole thing. It's not really a metric that men judge women on. I think you women I'm not saying women are just going to be completely unmotivated. Like, obviously there's base level survival. Like, oh, okay, I need to make money so I have a house, I can eat, I can be comfortable. But men have this on top of the base level survival considerations that both men and women have. Men on top of that have to be if I want to date, if I want a girlfriend, if I want a wife, I gotta make money. And if I'm not financially attractive, economically attractive to women, then maybe I can't take her on a date. Whereas I don't think women are really thinking oh man, I wonder, is he gonna think I'm broke? Guys don't think about that. We're not assessing you on your money. And even a guy who maybe he's not making enough money to the point where maybe it would be difficult to have a family, given the what you brought up, the whole you need two incomes to survive, right? For a lot of people. I still think, man, that guy's gonna look at a beautiful woman who's got a good personality, who's works at who's a barista. He's gonna pick her. He doesn't care. It's so low. It's such a low priority. Most men aren't gonna even trip about it. Even men who would their lifestyle would be much better if they did have a partner who made more money.
I agree. Honestly,
the wage gap is all your fault.
It's all your fault.
It's all women's fault because you put this immense, massive social and mating pressure on us men, and we're just more motivated to go out and make money so we can take you to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A.